My name is Claire Whitmore, and I'm 41 years old. The night my husband told me he wasn't coming back, I didn't cry, because deep down, I already knew he had been gone for years. At exactly 9:52 p.m., I stood in my kitchen holding my phone in one hand and a set of house keys in the other, keys that didn't belong to me anymore, and listened as he said 7 words that split my life in 2. Stop calling me. I'm not coming back. He hung up. No explanation, no hesitation, no second thought. And in that silence, something inside me didn't shatter. It sharpened, because that sentence didn't end my marriage. It exposed it. The truth is, my marriage didn't fall apart that night. It had been quietly collapsing for years, and I had been the only one trying to hold it together. Let me take you back. Not to the beginning, to the middle, because that's where people like me get stuck. Not unhappy enough to leave, not happy enough to stay, just surviving. I wake up every morning at 5:45 a.m. Not because I'm motivated, because I've trained myself to exist before anyone else needs something from me. Coffee machine clicks on, lunch gets packed, emails get checked, bills reviewed, everything handled before the day even begins. I work as an administrative coordinator at a dental clinic. 15 years. Same place, same desk, same routine. I'm the person everyone depends on. The one who fixes problems before they become problems. The one who stays late. The one who doesn't complain. At work, they call me reliable. At home, I was invisible. Daniel, my husband of 18 years, used to call me his partner. Somewhere along the way, that word changed meaning. Partner became assistant. Assistant became obligation. And eventually, I became background noise. He liked control. Not loud control. Not the kind people notice. Quiet control. The kind that hides behind logic. Let me handle it. I'm better with finances. You don't need to worry about that. At first it felt safe, like I could relax, like someone else had things covered. But control doesn't stay gentle. It grows, slowly, silently, until one day you realize you're asking permission to buy your own life. The first time it hit me was over something stupid. A winter coat, $120. My old one was falling apart. I didn't think twice. I bought it, came home, showed him, and watched his face change. You didn't think to ask me? Ask. That word sat in the air like something heavy. We have goals, Claire. We can't just spend money whenever we feel like it. But it wasn't we. It was him, deciding, judging, approving, or denying. I told myself it wasn't a big deal, that this is what responsibility looks like. That marriage means compromise. But compromise isn't supposed to feel like permission. That was the first crack. I ignored it. Like I ignored all the others. The locked office, the controlled accounts, the way he checked every purchase, the way he spoke over me in conversations, the way he slowly made decisions without me. And the worst part? I adapted. That's what people don't talk about. You don't notice control when it grows slowly. You adjust. You shrink. You tell yourself it's easier this way, until one day, you don't recognize yourself anymore. Last Monday, I came home early. Headache. The clinic was slow, so they let me leave. When I pulled into the driveway, Daniel's car was already there. That was unusual. He was supposed to be at work. The house felt wrong the moment I walked in. Too quiet, not peaceful. Tense, like something had just happened, or was still happening. I called his name. No answer. Then I heard it. A drawer, closing upstairs. Slow, careful. Intentional. My chest tightened. Not fear. Not yet. Just instinct. I walked upstairs, every step louder than it should have been. The office door was closed. Locked. Always locked. Daniel? A pause, then his voice. Tight. Controlled. Yeah? You're home early. So are you. I reached for the handle anyway. Still locked. I've got a headache, I said. Okay. That was it. No concern. No question. No, are you okay? Just a wall. I stood there for a second longer than I should have. Waiting. For something. Anything. It didn't come, so I walked away. But something followed me. That feeling. That quiet, creeping awareness that something wasn't right. That night at dinner, he was perfect. Too perfect. Talking more than usual. Smiling. Asking questions. Like he was performing, and that's when I knew. Not what, but that something was off. Tuesday I tried to ignore it. Wednesday I couldn't. He took his phone everywhere. Turned it away when I walked past. Locked the office even when he went to the kitchen. Small things. But small things become big truths. Thursday night, everything broke. He said he was stepping out. Didn't say where. Didn't say why. And for the first time in years, I didn't let it go. I called him. Once. Twice. 3 times. On the 4th call, he answered. Yeah? Cold. Distant. Like I was interrupting. Where are you? I asked. Out. Out where? Silence. Then irritation. Why does it matter? Because you're my husband. Because you didn't tell me. Because something is wrong and I can feel it. But I didn't say that. I said I just want to know. And then, stop calling me. I'm not coming back. Click. And just like that, 18 years ended in 7 words. I was wrong. The worst part wasn't him leaving. It was finding out what he had been building behind my back while I was busy holding everything together. The morning after that phone call, I woke up in a hotel room that didn't smell like my life. No familiar walls. No routine. No silence filled with tension. Just quiet. Real quiet. The kind that lets your thoughts get louder. For the first few minutes, I just lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying his words over and over again. Stop calling me. I'm not coming back. No anger. No explanation. That's what bothered me the most. People don't walk away like that unless they already left long ago. And suddenly, all those small things from the past week didn't feel small anymore. The locked office, the drawer closing, the way he guarded his phone. That wasn't distance. That was hiding. I sat up slowly, reached for my phone on the nightstand and turned it on. 27 missed calls, all from Daniel. Not messages asking if I was okay, not messages explaining anything, just calls. Control doesn't like losing access. I didn't call him back. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in years. I trusted my instincts. I got dressed, grabbed my keys, and drove back to the house. Not to go back, to look, because for the first time, I wasn't asking permission. I was searching for truth. The house was exactly how I left it. Too neat, too still. Like nothing had happened. Like 18 years hadn't just ended in a sentence. I walked inside slowly. Every step felt different. This wasn't my home anymore. It was evidence. I went straight upstairs, to the office. The door was unlocked. That alone made my stomach drop. Daniel never leaves it unlocked. Never. I pushed it open. The room looked normal at first glance. Desk, chair, Computer. Filing cabinet. But something was off. Subtle, but wrong. Drawers slightly out of alignment. Papers not stacked the way he usually keeps them. Someone had gone through things quickly. Or recently. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. For a second I just stood there, listening to nothing. Then I walked to the desk. The top drawer, the one he always kept locked, was slightly open. Not wide, just enough. Enough for someone who notices details. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me. I pulled the drawer open. Inside, no documents, no files, just an empty space. And one thing he forgot. A receipt. Folded, crumpled, careless. That wasn't like him. I unfolded it slowly. And that's when everything shifted. It wasn't a business receipt. It wasn't work-related. It was from a jewelry store. A high-end one. Date, 3 days ago. Total, $4,150. My chest tightened, because I already knew one thing. That wasn't for me. I hadn't received anything. No anniversary. No birthday. Nothing. I flipped the receipt over. And there it was. Handwritten. Can't wait for tonight. L. Just one letter, but it hit harder than anything else. Because suddenly, everything made sense. The late nights, the guarded phone, the locked office. He wasn't protecting finances. He was hiding a life. I sat down in his chair. No, not his chair. Just a chair. And for the first time, I didn't feel shocked. I felt clear, because this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a moment. This was planned, careful, deliberate, and I had been funding it. That thought hit differently. I stood up immediately and walked to the filing cabinet. Unlocked. Another first. Inside were folders, organized, labeled, perfectly in his style. But one thing stood out. A folder I had never seen before. No label, just blank. I pulled it out, opened it, and that's when the real truth showed up. Bank statements. Not ours. Not the joint account. A separate account. His name. Only his name. I flipped through them. Month after month. Deposits. Large ones. Withdrawals. Transfers. And then payments. Rent payments. Every month. Same amount. Same date. Same account. My stomach dropped. Rent. He was paying rent somewhere. Not a hotel. Not temporary. Consistent. Stable. Another place. Another life. I kept flipping. And then I saw it. A lease agreement. Printed. Signed. Daniel Whitmore. And another name. Lena Carter. There it was. Not just a letter anymore. A full name. A full person. A full life. My husband didn't just have an affair. He had an apartment. A shared lease. A second home. I sat back slowly. Let the silence settle around me. Because this wasn't betrayal in the moment. This was construction. He had built something, brick by brick, while I was busy maintaining what I thought we had. And the worst part? The money. Our money. The joint account. The one he controlled. The one he monitored every dollar from. The one he questioned me over a $120 coat. Was funding a $4,800 necklace. For another woman, that's when something inside me changed. Not heartbreak. Not anger. Something colder. Understanding. I wasn't a wife in this marriage. I was a resource. I stood up, grabbed the folder, and walked out of the office. Straight to the kitchen table, I laid everything out. Receipts, statements, lease, evidence, and I looked at it all like I was at work, like I was solving a problem. Because emotions can wait. Truth comes first. Then I saw something else. Something small, but important. A key. Different from our house keys. Different from his truck keys. A single silver key attached to a plain black tag. No label, no marking. But I didn't need one. I knew exactly what it was. The apartment. The other life. The place he chose over ours. I picked it up, held it in my hand, and for a moment I imagined it. The space, the furniture, the version of him that lived there, the version of him that smiled, that spent money freely, that didn't control every dollar. Because control wasn't about money, it was about me. And suddenly, everything became simple. He didn't leave me last night. He replaced me a long time ago. The phone buzzed in my hand. His name on the screen. Calling again. For a second I considered answering. Asking questions. Demanding explanations. But then I looked at the table. At the proof. And I realized something important. I didn't need answers. I already had them. So I declined the call. Turned off the phone. Picked up the key. And walked toward the door. Because I wasn't going to sit there and imagine his other life. I was going to see it for myself. And what I found behind that door was worse than the affair. It was the truth about who he really was, and who I had been all along. I was done guessing. I drove 22 minutes across town using the address printed on the lease agreement. Every red light felt longer. Every turn felt sharper. But my mind? Clear. That kind of clarity doesn't come from calm. It comes from finally seeing the truth with nothing left to protect. The building wasn't hidden. That's what surprised me. It wasn't some secret place tucked away in the shadows. It was a clean, modern apartment complex right off Maple Avenue. Glass balconies, fresh paint, security gate, the kind of place people move into when they're starting something new. Not hiding something old. I parked across the street and sat there for a moment, watching, waiting, not for him, for myself, for hesitation, for doubt. It didn't come, so I got out, walked straight to the entrance. The key slid into the lock like it belonged there. Because it did. That realization hit harder than anything else. He had built a life where this key fit, and I wasn't part of it. The hallway smelled like fresh paint and someone else's dinner. Normal. Too normal. I found the apartment number. Stood there. 1 second. 2. Then I unlocked the door and stepped inside. And just like that, I was standing in my husband's other life. The lights were off, but sunlight pushed through the curtains. Soft, warm, peaceful. It looked lived in, not temporary, not secret, permanent. A gray couch, a glass coffee table, a blanket folded neatly on the side, 2 mugs in the sink. 2. I walked further in, slow, careful, like I was walking through a stranger's home. Because except the stranger, was my husband. There were pictures on the wall. That's what stopped me. Not of him, of her, Lena. I didn't need an introduction. She was everywhere. Smiling, laughing, alive. The kind of woman who looked like she had never asked permission for anything in her life. There were no pictures of me. No trace of our marriage. No past. He hadn't blended 2 lives. He had replaced one with another. Clean. Complete. I walked into the bedroom. And that's where it hit hardest. Closet half full, not empty. Half. Her clothes, his clothes, side by side, equal. Like a real partnership. Something I hadn't had in years. On the nightstand, another photo. Him and her. closer than I had seen him with me in a long time. Relaxed, happy, uncontrolled, and that's when the truth fully settled in. He didn't become a different person. He chose to be one, just not with me. The front door clicked behind me. I didn't turn around immediately. I didn't need to. I knew that sound. Footsteps. Then his voice. Sharp, confused. "What are you doing here?" I turned. And there he was. Daniel, standing in the doorway of the life he built without me. And for the first time in years, he looked unsure. Not angry, not in control. Uncertain, like he didn't know what version of himself to be. "Claire, how did you—" I held up the key. That was enough. Silence filled the room. Heavy, real. Then she walked in behind him. Lena. And just like the photos, she didn't look surprised. She looked aware, like she had been expecting this moment. Her eyes moved from me to him, then back to me. No guilt, just recognition. "So," she said calmly, "you're the wife." Not were, are, present tense. That detail mattered. Daniel stepped forward quickly. "Claire, listen." "No," I said, and my voice, steady, stronger than I expected. "You listen." He stopped. Because this wasn't the version of me he knew. "I found the account," I said. His face changed. Just slightly, but I saw it. I found the lease. The payments, the receipts. Silence. "You used our money." Now it hit. That one landed, because it wasn't emotional. It was factual. "And you told me I needed permission to buy a coat." Lena looked at him, really looked at him, and something shifted in her expression. Not shock, disappointment, like she was seeing something she didn't know was there. "Claire, it's not what you think." I laughed. Actually laughed, because that sentence, that's what people say when it's exactly what it looks like. "No," I said quietly. "It's exactly what I think." I stepped forward. Not aggressive, just certain. "You didn't leave me last night." I looked around the apartment, then back at him. "You left me a long time ago." Silence. He didn't argue. Didn't deny it, because he couldn't. Lena crossed her arms slowly. "You told me you were separated." There it was. The crack. Daniel hesitated. Too long. And that hesitation told her everything. "I was going to—" he started. But she shook her head. "No," she said. "You were going to keep both." Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut deeper than anything I could have said. She looked at me. And for the first time, there was something human there. "I didn't know," she said. I believed her. Because I recognized that moment, that realization, that sharp, quiet understanding that everything you were told wasn't true. I nodded once. "That makes two of us." Daniel stepped forward again, reaching for control. "Can we just talk about this?" "No," I said again. Same tone, same calm. Because there was nothing left to talk about. I reached into my bag, pulled out the folder, dropped it on the table. The sound echoed in the room. "You wanted control?" I said. "You can have it." I placed the key next to it. "I'm done asking permission for my own life." And then I turned, walked to the door, and this time, he followed. "Claire, wait." I stopped, but I didn't turn around. "Don't," I said. One word, enough, because here's the thing he didn't understand. I wasn't walking away in anger. I was walking away in clarity, and that's something you don't come back from. I walked out of that apartment without looking back. Because for the first time in 18 years, I wasn't the one being left. I was the one leaving. Not the kind of done people say in the middle of a fight. The real kind. Quiet, final, unshakable. The kind where something inside you closes a door and never opens it again. I drove back across town with the windows down, even though it was cold. I needed air, not to calm down, to clear out everything that didn't belong to me anymore. By the time I got back to the house, I didn't hesitate. I walked in, grabbed a suitcase, and this time I didn't pack like I might come back. I packed like I already knew I wouldn't. Clothes, documents, my personal files, and then I went to the one place I hadn't touched yet. The desk, not his office. Mine, small, ignored, pushed into the corner of the guest room. That desk held something he never paid attention to, because it wasn't his. My records, copies of bills, old statements, tax returns, things I kept out of habit, out of instinct, out of a quiet part of me that never fully trusted the system he built. I sat down and started going through everything. And that's when I saw it. The pattern, not just spending, movement. Money moving from our joint account into places I had never approved. At first it looked normal. Transfers, investments, expenses. But when I lined it up with what I found in his office, it changed. Because now I wasn't looking as a wife. I was looking like someone who had nothing left to protect and everything to uncover. He hadn't just hidden money. He had redirected it, slowly, carefully, over time, enough to not trigger alarms, but enough to build something else. That apartment, that life, that woman, funded by the same account he controlled, the same account he monitored. The same account he used to question me over every small purchase. And suddenly, this wasn't just betrayal, this was fraud. That word sat differently. He didn't just lie, he manipulated. He controlled. And he used shared money to do it. I didn't cry. I reached for my phone. And for the first time in years, I didn't call him. I called a lawyer. Monday morning, 9 a.m. I walked into a law office with a folder in my hand, and 18 years of silence behind me. By 9:30, that silence was over. Her name was Rebecca Sloan. Sharp eyes, calm voice, the kind of woman who listens without interrupting. I laid everything out. The account, the lease, the receipts, the transfers. She didn't react emotionally. She analyzed. That's what I needed. When I finished, she leaned back slightly and said one sentence that changed everything. Claire, this isn't just a divorce case. I felt it before she said the rest. This is financial misconduct. There it was. Clear, defined, real. For years I thought I was stuck. That leaving would cost me everything. That I'd lose stability, security, my footing. But sitting there in that office, I realized something else. He had been taking from me the entire time. And now, it was documented. That afternoon we filed. Not quietly, not slowly, strategically. Full financial review. Asset freeze request. Formal separation. And documentation of hidden accounts. For the first time, he wasn't in control of the system anymore. Tuesday, he called. Non-stop. I didn't answer. Wednesday, he showed up at the house. I was already gone. Because I had done one more thing he didn't expect. I moved forward. Not emotionally, Legally, the house, joint ownership. But the financial records, clear. And the funds he redirected, traceable. By Friday, his control collapsed. Bank inquiries, legal notices, questions he couldn't deflect, answers he couldn't rewrite, because control only works when no one challenges it. And I finally did. A week later I saw him. Not at home, not in private, in a conference room, across a table, with lawyers present. And for the first time in 18 years, he didn't interrupt me, didn't correct me, didn't control the narrative. Because this time, it wasn't his story, it was the truth. And the truth doesn't need permission. He tried. Of course he did. Said things like, I made mistakes. I was going to fix it. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But mistakes don't have leases. Mistakes don't have monthly payments. Mistakes don't build second lives. Choices do. And he made them. Over and over again, I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to, because I had something stronger than emotion. I had evidence. And in the end, that's what mattered. The settlement wasn't dramatic. No screaming, no scenes, just numbers, assets divided, funds accounted for, and one final signature that ended everything he thought he controlled. The apartment? Gone. She left. Not because of me, because of him. Because once the truth shows up, it doesn't leave room for illusions. And me? I didn't go back to the house. Not because I couldn't, because I didn't want to. I found a smaller place. Simple, quiet, mine. No locked doors, no controlled accounts, no permission required. The first night there, I sat on the floor with a cup of coffee and nothing else. No furniture yet, no routine, no expectations. And for the first time in years, I felt something I didn't recognize at first. Peace. Not the quiet kind that hides tension. The real kind. The kind that comes when nothing is being taken from you anymore. People think the worst part of betrayal is being lied to. It's not. It's realizing how long you believed something that wasn't real. But here's what they don't tell you. The moment you stop believing it, you get yourself back.